This is Robert Wasmund with the Journalistic Revolution here with Glenn Jacobs, also known as Kane of WWE, and we're going to ask him a few questions about libertarianism and other things like that. First question I want to ask you is on the Tom Woods interview that you did, and as a matter of fact in your speech earlier today, you were talking about how we make very good logical arguments, and we're not so good at making emotional arguments. This is something that resonates with me. What, if any, emotional arguments should we be making as libertarians to the people?
I think the first thing we have to do is we have to make the issues personal. As I said in my speech, when we talk economics, okay, national debt, $17 trillion. We have literally hundreds of trillions of dollars in unfunded liabilities. And we throw those numbers around, what do they mean for folks? And they don't really mean anything because they're too big and they're too abstract. What means something is how the government going to pay for that. Well, they're going to print money, which is going to cause inflation, which means that the things you buy are going to get more expensive. It means they cause economic distortions, which means that unemployment's going to go up, which means that you might not be able to get the job that you want. Your opportunities in the economy are going to be greatly diminished. Things like that, as much as we can, we need to make it personal with people. We need to give personal examples as well. With the economy again, all the people out there, the hardworking middle class folks that are struggling because of these just stupid, destructive policies. We have to point that out, and we have to do so in sort of a specific way which will resonate with people.
Okay. And I noticed that you write for Lou Rockwell in the Daily Caller, right? Would you consider yourself kind of like a warrior poet or warrior philosopher?
I'm just really a guy that's trying to make my opinions known because I care about what's going on. And I do certain portion of my time I do dedicate to doing this because I do think it's very important. Again, going back to the personal argument, I have a family. I would like to see my family thrive. I would like to see everybody's family thrive. I'm this big believer in the American dream. And what the American dream really means is that everybody should have the opportunity to build the life that they want without limits, so long as they're not hurting anybody else. That's what it's all about. At some point along the way, we lost that. So I also do believe that the pen is very powerful, and trying to get inside people's minds to get them to thinking about issues, giving them information that they can make informed and educated decisions, at the same time trying to put different perspectives on people so that they can convince themselves of certain things. Because you can't convince anybody of anything, I can't convince anybody of anything, people convince themselves.
The Socratic method.
Right, exactly. And that's all that I try to do. But yeah, as far as the pen is pretty doggone powerful.
Well, in one of your articles I was reading, I think it was called Necessity, the Creed of Tyrants,
right,
and the Creed of Slaves. You said in there that it would take like a major crisis, just one major crisis, and we could fall into a full authoritarian style government. And now here's a tough question, and if you can't answer it, don't. But do you think our current government is capable of facilitating that crisis itself?
They've done it with the economy. The problem with statism and the problem with interventionist economics, Keynesianism, is it always makes the problem much worse. So do I think that they do things deliberately to start crises? No, but I think that they do cause unintended consequences, which cause perhaps much worse crises than even if they tried to do it.
Yeah.
If you look at what's happened with the economy since 2007, 2008, they've literally done everything possible to make things worse, believing that they're making things better, because they take a very short-sighted view of things. They don't look at the long term, and they don't look at the unintended consequences of what their policies are doing. And then, of course, what happens is you always have the people that are standing there that really are, the power mongers that, again, I don't think they necessarily understand that these policies are going to cause more trouble, but their answer is always, we need to take more power unto ourselves. And I think at some point, what's it called, the libido dominus, or the willingness to dominate, or the lust for domination. That is true in some people. And so yeah, when it comes to stuff, again, going back and looking at what's happened with the economy, that's why you have these people that want to run the economy. They're the first people to raise their hands and say, look, we can fix this. You just need to give us control of stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Now, one question more for the viewers and listeners at home. For your young fans and for young people getting involved, what books would you recommend for them to learn most effectively the principles of libertarianism, the non-aggression principle, and so forth?
There are so many, and that's one of the great things now. There's so many great websites that people can go to. The internet is such a wonderful thing, and I know that I wouldn't be where I am philosophically if it hadn't been for the internet, because frankly, the information just wasn't available to me previously. So there are, like I said, there's a number of great books. I would read Harry Brown's stuff, Why Government Doesn't Work, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World, The Great Libertarian Offer. Mary Roard has a great book, Healing Our World in an Age of Aggression. Ron Paul's Liberty Defined, Murray Rothbard's stuff, the Ethics of Liberty and For a New Liberty are great. There's also, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, there's a book by Lyndon Morris Tannehill called The Market for Liberty, which is very good. But like I said, you're sort of going down the rabbit hole at that point. And then also, I am a big believer in Austrian economics. I consider myself a very serious student of Austrian economics. And the reason for that is because once you understand economics, and the definition of Austrian economics is the study of human action. Mm-hmm. And I use sort of a different definition, and that's how do people fulfill their wants, needs, and desires in a world of scarce resources. And then you start realizing that economics is all about how people utilize their time. And then you realize it's all about economics. Mm-hmm. Everything's about economics. So I would definitely recommend that people do a little bit of research in Austrian economics. There are two great books to start. One is Economics in One Lesson by Henry Hazlitt. At this point, it's a little bit dated, but it's still one of the best books on economics that you could ever read. And the other one is What Has Government Done to Our Money by Murray Rothbard. Mm-hmm. And if you read that, you will understand more about our monetary system. You will understand more about money. And if you understand money and the importance that it plays in the economy, you've got economics licked pretty much. But you'll understand more about economic theory, probably 95% of the people out there. Okay. Because we're not taught proper monetary and economic theory in school.
Well, I have a challenge for you. Okay. My friends like to call this the dead horse.
Okay.
But do you know
what? You're gonna beat me?
No. Do you know what the Trivium is? The Trivium method.
No.
Okay, I have a challenge for you.
Okay.
I want you to research the Trivium method. You can find it at tragedyandhope.com or peacerevolution.org. And it's a way of thinking using grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Knowing what you're talking about, removing the contradictions of what you're talking about, and then expressing wisely what you're talking about. And so my challenge to you is look into it, and if you think it's worthwhile, write an article on it.
Okay.
If you don't think it's worthwhile, I'll wrestle you.
Okay, cool. we can compare and contrast the Trivium method with the Hegelian dialectic.
They're very similar.
Yeah, it sounds like
they are, and they even talk about Aristotelical logic and using classical rhetoric, which isn't really taught in today's schools. And that's kind of the point of the Trivium method versus the classical Trivium. What we're taught is not how to think, but what to think.
Yes.
And the Trivium method is to help people learn how to think again by using grammar, logic, and rhetoric.
Yeah.
So good places to look it up. Steve Corbett Report, good one. And of course, tragedyandhope.com, peacerevolution.com. I was listening in your interview with Tom Woods. You said that you've been known as the libertarian in the locker room, right, with your coworkers. Now, since you're known as the libertarian, have you converted anybody, and if so, who?
I won't get into to respect their privacy. I'm not going to say who, but yeah, there are some people that at least have come my way quite a bit, and the reason why is because everybody knows that I read about economics and I talk about economics. So I'm always getting questions about what do I think about this investment, or what do I think about this, or what do I think about that. And I often tell people, look, if you want to make money, do the opposite of what I'm about to tell you, because I'm the absolute worst at timing anything. But nevertheless, that's where I found a lot of success, is that people see something that they can use. Mm-hmm. And we from there, we're able to talk about maybe some other issues. And the thing is that people are open-minded if you do approach them in a way, if you understand what their issues are, if you understand what they think is important, and you don't automatically have to assume that we have to fight about what we disagree on. Because guess what? Once you start agreeing on stuff, then you'll start to find that those disagreements disappear, because they realize that you're a reasonable person who's concerned with the same things that they are. And people often go, wait a second, he's right about this.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to, you even have to bring it up again. So yeah, there are a few people that have converted themselves based on some of the information that I've provided.
That's awesome. And what's the great comedic philosopher said? If you're going to tell people the truth, make them laugh or they'll kill you.
Yeah, especially on stage.
But we did a series called Statist Anonymous. And it's a way to poke fun at ourselves and at the state at the same time. And we had a thing where we were asking all of our interviewees, what statist tendencies do you still have that you hold on to that you probably shouldn't, but they're still inside you?
Yeah, I don't know if I can come up with one right off the bat, but unfortunately they are still there, because the thing is, the thing is that to some extent we all think that other people should do the things that we want them to do, right? And I can be as guilty as anyone is of that. So I'm not sure if I have like a specific example, but every once in a while I'll find myself saying there ought to be a law.
We come from the idea that statism is a disease that never goes away, just like alcoholism.
Yeah, once the virus gets in there, it's in there, and it's very hard, and you have to have like a conscious effort to say, oh man, what am I thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Take the time to let the people know anywhere that they can find your writings, LouRockwell.com and other places like that, or where they can find out more about you.
LouRockwell.com, thedailycaller.com are my two big ones. I have a website called The Jacobs Report. I'm on Twitter @JacobsReport, and you can link to my Facebook page through there as well.
Well, thank you so much for coming out and doing this with us, man.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thanks.
This is the Journalistic Revolution saying, don't look to be free sometime in the future. Live free now.